Hello all, it's Jack Decker. Welcome to the Daily Decker. For those of you who have been following along with my random rants, today was the start of the first Daily Decker. Did that because apparently you type in the words random and rant into YouTube. They are apparently two of the most common search engine options available. So, my videos differ enough that I can actually find them in the search engine. Welcome to the Daily Decker. Now today, for our first episode, we're going to be unveiling the contents of the Wasteland 2 Collector's Edition box. But before we get to that, I want to give you guys a little bit of history about the Wasteland series. For those of you who've never heard of Wasteland up until you watch this video, it's a post-apocalyptic sci-fi adventure that actually what helped spawn the Fallout series. It's sort of its forgotten ancestor. It was originally developed by Interplay and published by Electronic Arts all the way back in 1988 and was published for the Commodore 64, Apple II, and DOS computer systems. It was supposed to have a couple sequels. Due to some issues, though, we did have one game that was kind of retitled and became a standalone adventure unto itself, but unfortunately we never had a true sequel up until recently. For its time, Wasteland was considered both critically acclaimed and commercially successful. The game had won Computer Gaming's World's Game of the Year award in 1988. It featured an immersive, very huge adventure for its time, though kind of unforgiving. Its difficulty is pretty high. You really have to stick with it. And the plot was you create your character, a ranger, who then has to fight against this destruction super AI that's trying to wipe out all inferior life forms on this planet, which, sadly to say, means us, as far as the computer's eyes are concerned. It also featured several unique features for its time. One was a progressive story system. Now what this means is that you'd go to a town, complete some actions, complete a quest or two in there. The NPCs would actually remember you and what you did, and would make comments based upon what you did. So as you go to a town, free the town, or in the case of the agricultural center, deal with the killer bunnies from Mars. Well, they're not from Mars, but they're still killer bunnies, which are kind of cool to fight against. They would actually remember your efforts and thank you later for it. Well, you know what I mean. It's an 8-bit game. Well, not 8 bits, but you know. It all did this, however, for its time, which was unique. Games were kind of spoiled today with massive RPGs like Skyrim or Fallout that remember your actions later. Remember, before that, for the longest time, we didn't really have saves. If you were lucky, a game had a password save system, which isn't really a save. It just tells the game, hey, load XYZ variables and play. Or you didn't save at all, and you had to start from the beginning every single time you turned the game on. Wasteland was able to accomplish this save feature by actually writing all of the data, your gameplay, your character progression, on the physical floppy itself. So as you would play through it, it would save on the floppy. Now, this had some issues for its time. Floppies, and, well, there's such a thing as memory allocation error. Sometimes it wasn't common, but you would still have that issue if something wouldn't save, especially back in the early days, and you could risk not only losing your save file, but the entire game itself, which is one reason why they suggested in the manual that you create actually a backup copy of the floppy so that you could, one, save your gameplay. Two, if you wanted to restart from the beginning, you could with a fresh install. And three, just to make sure that if your previous one was wiped out, you had some backup that you could play from. there was no multiple saves on the hard drive. It was multiple floppy disk saves was the only way that you could guarantee your progression. As such, it's very hard to find a non-altered gameplay disc anymore that's original. So you can find it on Abandonia. It is also now available on Steam as well to play, which thankfully saves actually onto the hard drive, so you don't have to worry about those floppy backups. Which for a save feature for its time too was also an amazing feat that most gamers didn't have the luxury of doing back in those days. And all of this, it was a pretty big game for its time, and all of this in less than a megabyte worth of space. I mean, not even a second of this video is a megabyte. I'm seeing in here on my corner jumping every second by 3 to 4 megabytes to give you an idea of how small this game is and how big the adventure was for that small space. Another way that they were able to cram extra out of the game was a paragraph booklet that came with it. A lot of the text for clues, adventures, or whatnot were actually taken out of the game and replaced by, please read paragraph X 1, 2, 3, 4, and you would pull out this little booklet that would include all of the paragraphs. Now, just because I say it included all the paragraphs, it included all the paragraphs in the game, but also had a lot of extra stuff added. I suggest looking it up, Wasteland 1 paragraphs. It's got a nice sub-adventure, that red herring that it tries to trick you on, thinking that you're actually flying to Mars to beat some space aliens who are trying to invade Earth, as well as some humorous red herrings and just stories for, like, curiosity killed the cat, little tidbits. It also had some bits to help keep down on cheaters by having codes that would unlock certain things in the game, but if you read ahead in the booklet, it might cause your character to detonate a unseen explosive or two, or as I'm told, it can even cause forced sex changes on your characters in-game, or some other humorous things that would happen to them. By modern standards, the game is quite dated. It looks, the 8-bit look to it, it looks even worse than that. For those of you who remember the horror that was the E.T. game, the graphics outside of combat aren't much better than that to begin with. The game can get a little monotonous in combat because you're switching menu to menu to menu. It's a little bit worse than the early Pokemon menus, personally, to actually provide attacks. But for its time, it was a major success, and it still is a good classic that is worth playing today. It was also the inspiration for the Fallout series, due to some copyright issues when Interplay was trying to create an actual successor to Wasteland 1. EA actually had the copyright for Wasteland at the time, so they couldn't get away from EA, so they published the Fallout series, and that's how we now have Fallout as it exists today. It is originally was supposed to be the sequel to Wasteland, but now it still follows along as the spiritual successor. And if you're like me, who's tired of waiting for Fallout 4 to come out, Wasteland 2, great way to bide your time. It's a very nice post-apocalyptic sci-fi adventure that's really fun to play in. Now, as we come to today, we have Wasteland 2. Or more specifically, I'll be opening the Collector's Edition. It was funded, In Exile Entertainment is the one who's publishing the newest game. It was funded by the original producer and co-developer Brian Fargo of the original Fallout series. He reacquired the rights back in 2012 and launched a Kickstarter, I believe in 2013, or sorry, no, he obtained the rights back in 2003, launched the Kickstarter. 2003, Brian Fargo was able to obtain the rights in 2003. In 2013, they launched the Kickstarter page. They were able to raise almost $3 million, and they had several tiers, including the one I have, which is the Collector's Edition. Now, there are many videos out there that review the gameplay already. My focus is going to be on specifically the contents of the Collector's Edition. If you want gameplay, there are many others, and please look at them. It's a great game. Please try it. There are some bugs, but hey, it's still for its time. For what it is, it's an independent game. It's still pretty good, and I would definitely suggest playing it.